See if this works.
I feel like I would.
Guys, I wanted to do my premium is like I found some money on my dresser, right? And it's like a whole bunch of 20s and like 5s and shit. And I'm like, how the fuck you just lose all that money and find it on your dresser?
Honestly.
I'm like, you fucking liar, bitch.
Yeah, no worries. Alright, so let's go ahead and check and see if we're all good.
My hair looks messy.
My ghost coffee sucks. Oh, they're hot fries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
We'll get it on check. Testing.
I'm looking at myself. I have a weird echo.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Are we good? Testing 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and speak into your mic real quick.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Do you have some ear pop, actually? Check the top part or the top pocket of my backpack. I should have some earbuds. I want to check the audio from this just to make sure. Check the top part or the top.
I don't remember your backpack. I don't want to go on for just a
Anyways. Cool. A second.
I don't remember your backpack. I don't want to go on for I don't want to, but I can hear myself.
There we go. Thank you.
You got this, sweetie. What does that have to do with anything?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
I'm joking. I love Sebastian too.
I wonder if this is picking up the. Let me double check and make sure that this is capturing the mic. Give me a second.
My girl does
Can we do that? Cool. Properties. There we go. So now when we speak, it'll be directly through the mic, I hope. Let's see.
Oh, did you want me to talk? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead and speak a little bit.
Okay. I don't know what else to say. This is cool.
Okay, yeah, now this is perfect. Yeah, you wanna hear something?
Not really, but okay.
You just,
Oh, this sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we should be fine now. I mean, should we play a little bit of music on the background just to kind of
We can, yeah.
people? Let's see if this will work. So glad they can't see this part.
I have that fuzz from my carpet all over me. From my little rug. I feel like you're very uncomfortable. I apologize.
It's no, it's just the awkward position right here.
Dad, do you think I should get cookies and cream or the Great Divide?
I don't know. I feel like you always get the Great Divide. I think you should do cookies and cream.
But then it's also like, if I just stick with
True.
What did you choose?
Oh, you can play whatever.
Let's see what this has. Let's see if it's picking it up. Now I'm gonna check it out. It's gonna be a weird stream, but let's see what's going on here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Turn the volume down a little bit. Yep, that seems to be.
Coolio.
What's up?
I said coolio.
Nice. There we go. That's perfect. Cool. Alrighty. We're good to go. I don't know if you want to just like tell people to come on or.
I did. A while ago.
Yeah, it's all good.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. Now it's time to. I think we should be fine.
It's mostly people from my premium, so.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, in that case.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I sent it to you. Just yeah, just. Mhm.
Yep.
That's how I did it.
Hit us up.
Probably.
Alright, I think. Do you want to wait a little bit longer?
We can start. I don't really care.
I'm gonna hit this record button and see what this does.
I look kind of like talking about myself, so that's why I'm excited. Huh? No, what'd you say? On Instagram.
Should. I think this is fine, right?
Yeah,
Alright. Cool.
you're good.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is JK. I'm JK, and this is the Essential JK podcast. Following me here today is the sensational, coolest chick that I've met in the last 4 years, Luna.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going? So,
It's going good.
going good. It's kind of awkward, you know, and I apologize to anybody that's out there just kind of checking us out. This is the first time that we actually meet in person, but we've been talking online for since.
I don't know. I have terrible memory.
I do too, yeah. I can't for that. But
It's been a while though.
yeah, I could definitely say that. It's been a weird time though, because I mean we haven't really, like I said, met up in person or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's just you guys are gonna get to see how we kind of meet,
And experience the awkwardness.
yeah, bear with us. You know, I hope the music isn't too cringy either. I don't know what's playing exactly right now, but regardless,
Can you hear the music? Lex sitting in the corner off camera. Are you gonna? I hate you. Okay, cool.
Cool. So I mean, well, I'll just go ahead and hop on it because what I basically like to do is I'll talk to people about, you know, the personal story, and I feel like strangers have some of the best stories out there. So you know, it's a bit of a broad question, but what would you say is your story? You know, what's made you become who you are?
I think I guess I kind of start from the beginning, kind of like summarize everything because it's a lot to just kind of try to fit. I am a first generation immigrant, so my mom brought me over when I was little. I currently am under the protection of the DACA. And so that's kind of how I work and kind of how I've been going to school as well. But yeah, so that really influenced who I am as a person. It was kind of always an understanding growing up, especially as a Latina in the United States that you always had to push yourself and push yourself and push yourself and push yourself. So I kind of grew up with this idea of there's no room for failure.
Yeah.
And so growing up with that mentality, I encountered some difficulties, obviously, because life is
Yeah.
full of failure. And up until I believe I graduated high school, I was a pretty good kid. I was kind of like my mom's golden child.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. And then once I graduated and I started, a lot of people other than really my closest friends don't know this. I wanted to do pre-med at Johns Hopkins, but I didn't get my full scholarship to be able to go there, and it's really expensive. So I ended up staying in Mesquite. And after that, I had some kind of incidents happen where, it kind of forced me to even push myself even more, not necessarily like in the academic aspect because that's usually what I'm used to, pushing myself like, okay, like, can you stay up all night and then go to classes and then go to work and then come home and clean and cook and, take care of yourself. But it was more like me pushing myself emotionally and mentally, because it got to the point where I was even homeless for a couple of days or a week or two because of what ended up happening in my situation. And so right now at this moment, I've kind of found a balance where, yes, like I'm working and yes, I have free time and whatnot. But at the same time, I also am like balanced a lot more mentally and emotionally.
Awesome. So I kind of want to touch back to something that you were basically saying. You are a DACA recipient, right?
Yeah.
So did you grow up under the impression that you were a citizen, or were you aware that you were from a different country?
My mom always, when growing up, my mom always told me that I was Mexican, and she always instilled that in me, which is something that I think a lot of Mexican parents usually don't do. So I do have this pride for being Mexican, and people ask me, are you Mexican? I say, I am. And I always knew. Growing up, my mom kind of had this idea that eventually citizenship would be granted to us.
Yeah.
And so now that we're here in this moment, and it still hasn't happened, she does get upset from time to time, but she's more of like uptight, and I'm more like just kind of go with the flow of things,
Yeah, I understand that. It's been a weird, time or circumstance, over the last couple of years, especially since I have a lot of friends who are in the same boat. It's kind of difficult to see, the progression of everything, of how slow it is, the odd feelings of how essentially the life of a DACA recipient rests on the coin flip of a politician. And so, there's many misconceptions that I know for a fact, have been going on. And so, I just to clarify for anybody listening, the deferred action for childhood arrivals, DACA, is basically given to people who they have to go through rigorous, background checks, fingerprinting. They check your social media and everything. They just basically they break you down to the last piece of your being, and then they grant you a pass. From what I understand, it's like almost like a tax on the person, where it's you get to work for 2 years for a flat fee of, was it $475?
So the fee ends up being $495, and you have to renew it every 2 years. When I first got mine, I got it done with a lawyer because my mom was scared. She didn't really know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so we ended up going to a lawyer, and the lawyer charged us $3,000 to do that. And so after that, I kind of did it myself every time I renewed it. But you do have to pay the $500, and then I personally, I appreciate, like, it's given me an opportunity to work, but at the same time, it's almost kind of like I sometimes feel like a hostage because I can't leave the country. Like, if something were to happen to my family in Mexico, I can't leave the country. I have to ask for permission. I can't receive any federal financial aid, even if I am going to school. I still have to pay my taxes, so I still pay taxes, but I obviously can't vote. And so kind of being raised with the mentality of of an American almost, you know, where there's this thing where like, oh, you know, everybody deserves a right to vote, everybody deserves a right to have their voice heard. Being raised like that, and then being told that, well, you still have to pay taxes and you still have to contribute to society if you want to stay here, but you don't get all the benefits. That's kind of like a slap in the face,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it seems kind of redundant too, you know, to expect somebody so young as well, you know, because I know there's everywhere from, you know, the Gen Z people to, you know,
Yeah.
millennials, you know, under this program that are being benefited, you know, but everything has to kind of come out of y'all's pocket, really, you know. And
Yeah.
at least from what I've noticed from a lot of my friends, they kind of, the circumstances within the family and everything, they kind of take on that upper mantle with this help, you know, and many of them aren't even going to school anymore because,
Because you have to work.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of heartbreaking, but I mean, at the same time, you know, it is a huge help, I imagine. You know?
Yeah. It makes it a lot easier to be able to support yourself because now you can legally work. Recently, I've been kind of reading into it. I always try to keep up with it because it, depending on how the immigration policy is going, it also depends how early I have to send it. So I want to say the last time I renewed it, I probably sent it about 3 months in advance. This time I sent it 3 months in advance, and I was without protection for a week where I didn't have my visa had expired. So now they're recommending that you send it like 6 months to a year in advance, which is like you just renewed it, now you have to send it again.
So theoretically speaking, you guys are legally here in the United States because that is a work visa, right?
Yeah.
So that you guys aren't necessarily illegal anymore. You guys are actually
Yeah.
you know, documented. So that's actually pretty interesting.
It just they kind of have you like in a limbo for right now because they don't really know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So they're just like, okay, like, I guess this works for now.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to get super political, but I mean, I would imagine to be like a huge help, you know, for the United States. You know, if you guys are coming in, you know, getting Social Security numbers and everything, contributing more to the Social Security fund, to, you know, tax overall.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, really a no-brainer. I believe, you know, to kind of really emancipate you guys or do something about that. You know.
Yeah.
But you also said something else that kind of, you know, kind of caught my attention. You said that you were homeless for a while. Was that because of, you know, these circumstances with DACA?
Not necessarily because of the circumstances with DACA. So about I want to say the beginning of this year actually. I guess we weren't necessarily homeless, but we didn't really have a place to stay. I got into a car wreck, and my mom is a very strict Mexican mom. It ended up involving some family matters, and I ended up getting kicked out of my house. So I was without a car, and I was without a home. I ended up moving in with my roommate, who's now Lux, and we were living at her mom's house. What ended up happening? Her mom lost the house. It got sold underneath her, and so we were looking for a place to stay. The way things lined up, we didn't find a place to stay until I want to say about 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks and a half after the house got sold. So Lux and I were staying in a hotel, and neither of us have a car, and we had to go to work, and it was difficult, and I have a dog, and so we were just because, you know, he's my baby, he goes everywhere with me, so it was difficult for me. So it kind of, because going from, you know, like I also ended up dropping out of school, going from, you know, like I'm going to school to be a nurse, to damn, I don't even have a place to live, I'm kind of surviving day by day. It was kind of difficult, but now I kind of feel like everything's like stabilizing itself.
Yeah.
It feels so nice, and I can look back and I can be like, dude, like, yeah, we went through that, but I ended up gaining something great from it, which was my friendship with Lex.
Yeah, that's great to hear, honestly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, another question that I have is, I mean, if you don't have a car or whatnot, you know, and it's a huge hole from what it seems like, you know, this part of the plot of your story, you know.
Yeah.
You don't have a car, you live in a hotel, you know, and I imagine you need to find a way to, you know, work or do something,
Mhm.
you know. What was the struggle like, or what did you, you know, think about doing? Like, what was your mentality during the whole, you know, situation to kind of come out of that hole, you know, and kind of come on top, you know, because from what I can see, you know, you really are happier, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is a really cozy home and everything. You know?
Yeah.
And you and your roommate seem to have really great chemistry, you know. So I mean, it's looks like a huge, you know, improvement. So I mean, what was your mentality? You know, what did you do to get out of it? You know, for people that could be potentially
Like,
listening to this.
Yeah. So, I at that time I was working as a server at a restaurant called On the Border, and I remember, kind of almost like just there'd be days where I would work all day because I didn't want to go home because my home was a hotel, and so a lot of times I would be there all day, and obviously I would get fed there, so that would take care of my whole food situation. And Lux and I worked together, so if we had to buy an Uber, we would split it, and it would be a lot cheaper. But it was almost kind of a mentality of, it was something that her and I discussed while we were in that hotel room, that like, you know, because I was sometimes down and she would pick me up, or she was sometimes down and I would pick her up. But it was this mentality of like, your situation doesn't define who you are, which a lot of, if you would have told like high school Kat that, she probably would have been like, dude, like, fuck you, you know.
I agree with that. You know?
But now I'm like, it's true. Like, just because you're in a shitty situation or you're in a shitty like state of mind doesn't necessarily define who you are as a person. And so it was something that I kind of had to drill into my head, that just because I'm in a bad situation doesn't mean I'm worthless. You know, I think especially here in America, you're raised with this idea of, if you can't contribute or if you can't provide for yourself or for the people that you love, then you're useless. Like, you're kind of, the way I see it, you're kind of almost reduced to just how much you produce.
You know, in a way, yeah, I find that very true. You know, but also I feel like part of that belief is also that conservative, you know, Hispanic mentality. You know.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, honestly, I mean, from what I've talked to a couple of other friends, you know, this country is really good on, you know, if you don't have, you know, jack squat shit, you know, one day, the next day, you know, you could really pick yourself up, you know, in a chance of luck, or if you just bust your ass, you know,
Yeah.
from, you know, rags to riches, basically, you could be going, you know. So it's really interesting. I mean, that point really kind of defines, you know, really you guys are more like sisters.
Yeah.
You know, it's
honestly.
really cool to see that, and it's really cool to have that backbone, you know. I mean, it's incredible, really. But so you're working at On the Border, you know, and everything, and you know, at what time would you say that, you know, you noticed that things were actually looking up, you know?
It was probably when we were, if you guys are hearing that, I do apologize. We have a guinea pig in the living room. But it was probably after we got the apartment lease and everything. It was kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel, because we had been trying to move into, I know these aren't like the best apartments, but we were trying to move into the apartment for about those 2 entire weeks that we were staying at the hotel. And it was very difficult because we were spending money on a hotel while also trying to put a down payment and the deposit or whatever, you know, and trying to pay first month's rent for this place. So we were spending a lot of money. Whenever Alexis and I, whenever we left her mom's house, she had around, I want to say, $2,100 in savings. And I had about $1,000 in savings. And after we got the apartment, we literally had $20 in our bank account. So all of our money was, it just kind of disappeared, you know, and in moving and, you know, trying to, you know, still have a place where we can go to sleep and getting to and from work. And so whenever we got the apartment and we were finally like, we did have some great friends that helped us out during the way. Obviously, I'm not going to say we did it by ourselves because we didn't. But when we finally moved in, and even though the apartment was freaking empty, I was happy. I was ecstatic. It was such a nice change, and just kind of having my own space again. It was nice.
Yeah, I could imagine. So it's really wonderful, you know, to see all that. Do you have any plans on like doing Like, what are your plans? Like, what are your aspirations right now? You know, what do you want to do?
Right now, at the moment, again, I'm gonna go back. If you would have asked me a couple of years ago, I probably would have been like, oh, I want to be a registered nurse and like work in a hospital. I fucking hate the health industry, by the way. If you guys are listening, I don't like it. It's terrible. I think it's a scam. But
Wait, I mean, I agree. I agree 100%. You know, especially if a couple of you guys get to see this. Earlier this year or last year, I almost broke my ankle, and for doctors to give me codeine and some
just don't get
crutches,
sick.
$2,000, $2,500.
Yeah.
You know,
It's ridiculous. I
Yeah.
think the health industry it's more of a business rather than. But anyway, that's not what I was going for. Like, it's just it's a scam. Right now I am working on, I do want to go back to school, and I do want to become a certified nursing assistant, just in case my main plan doesn't end up working. I don't have to work at McDonald's.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
But my main plan is to have a food truck.
A food truck.
Yeah, I
Man.
want to have a food truck and drive it across the state of Texas, get my licenses and everything, and then eventually drive it across the entire U.S.
And that's a solid plan, honestly. What
Yeah.
type of food do you want to serve, or do you want to
This
make?
is going to sound so stereotypical, but a bitch wants to make tacos.
Hell fucking yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to find a good taco nowadays.
Yeah.
You know? And I just recently found this one place. Free shout out. I doubt many people are going to see this. It's one of the first podcasts on this channel. But if you live around the Mesquite, Dallas, Garland area, there's this taqueria called Diana's Taqueria off of First Street in Miller, I believe. And tacos are at like 99 cents or something like that. They're
That's
some of
crazy.
the most succulent tacos I've ever had.
I'm going to have to
The
go.
sauce is nice. The pastor is like tasty. you
Yeah.
know. It's phenomenal, But yeah, I mean, going back to that, a good taco, a solid taco, is hard to come by.
My favorite tacos, I guess we're talking about tacos, but my favorite tacos are, my mom lives in Seagoville off of Lawson and I think it's Lori or something like that. I don't remember. But over there's not a lot of things. It's usually just like a lot of open land.
Yeah.
And then there's, where she lives, there's this intersection.
Mhm.
And on one side it's like the school, and then there's 3 empty corners.
Okay.
Right? If you go this way, it's where all like the mobile homes are. She lives in a mobile home. And on the other side, it's like towards the freeway. So every day at around 6 p.m., people go and they set up their taco stands, like illegally, like not trying to bust them or anything.
Hey, those are the best tacos whenever you can find them.
Yeah, and I've actually seen cops buy from there because they're that good. They don't give a shit. They don't got no licenses, but these bitches are making tacos and they're buying them,
Yeah,
And so
badass tacos.
yeah, this guy, he makes the trompo and he seasons it himself and everything. And I don't want to get him in trouble, but his name is Armando. If you guys ever like happen to be in that area, please stop and buy some tacos from him because they're fucking amazing. I never tasted anything like it. They're
Cool. If we get together, I mean, y'all can PayPal me at jkchavez123@gmail.com. We'll raise some money to get this dude his food license, his handler's license. And everything.
yeah, dude, it's fucking they're fucking amazing. And they're there. It'll be 40 degrees, 30 degrees, 20 degrees, raining, snowing, heat. They're there all the time. All the time. And they're so good. It's a family-owned business. He has his wife there, and his 2 daughters are there, too. I ended up kind of befriending them because we buy from them so much.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty solid, to be honest. I mean, it's funny that you say that, though, because I used to work at a butcher shop when I was like in junior, senior year.
Yeah.
I worked there for like a couple years up until I graduated from high school. Actually, even then, I worked for them a little bit longer. But there was a guy who was a head butcher at the time, his name was My Goodness. They call him My Goodness. We never knew his real name.
Yeah,
But this guy was like
that's
a
kind of
super
goals. Dopes.
cool. He was a real G. He was kind of weird at times, He never really knew if he was gonna fondle you or
Oh my
talk
god.
to you, correctly. But, every now and then, he'd go to the back, do a little bump of coke, and then come back outside and be like, let's get this bread, man. What you want me to cut, man? And like, he'd
That's
just be going
crazy.
ham, man. But long story short, he had a nasty temper because of the coke. You know,
Yeah.
you couldn't say shit to this dude.
Oh, I bet.
And so I remember this guy, you know, one day he just like quit. He said, "Fuck you, man. I'm gonna go open up this carniceria or this carnitas puesto up in like the Pulga de Segoville."
Yeah.
And the dude was there for maybe like a couple days, and they ended up kicking him out because he got into a fight with one of the guys
Oh
behind.
my god.
Yeah. Shout out to my goodness if you're there, bro. I doubt you're listening, but you know, shout out.
I really thought that was gonna be like a kind of like a positive story, you know, like, oh, you know, he was there 3 days and everybody fucking loved him, and he just
Oh no, his carnitas were good, but this dude's coke temperament.
it
pretty
just
fucking bad,
it just fucked shit up for him.
yeah.
That's crazy.
But Segoville has some good food, I bet.
Yeah, you just gotta look for it.
Yeah,
You gotta find the connections because they ain't gonna tell you.
Yeah. By the way, for those of y'all joining us right now, we're podcasting from the beautiful state of Texas, specifically the north. Dallas. I mean, yeah.
We're in Dallas.
Yeah, we're in Dallas.
We're in
basically.
Mesquite, Dallas. I just dropped our location.
Yeah. The beautiful city of Mesquite.
Yeah.
But yeah, solid food. I mean, and like a taco truck. You know, do you feel like you have like a specialty that you would want to make? You know?
I kind of dabbled with a couple of months ago. I started dabbling with vegetarian food, so I do want to kind of incorporate vegetarian alternatives into the food truck because I feel like there's not really a lot of vegetarian Hispanic food.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty right. You know, I don't think I've never gone to like a barbecue or like a cookout. And
Yeah, and then have something other than like
Yeah.
maybe onions.
I mean, or the salsa on the cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Interesting.
yeah, if you guys do live in the Dallas area and you guys are vegetarian, check out El Palote. It's a bakery. It's a vegetarian bakery, and it's vegan, and they also have like authentic Mexican food. It's pretty good. They have tacos and everything, and tortas and tamales and anything you can think of. They have it.
I wonder if they're still open. You know, we might have to like end this early and just like go get some food, honestly. But yeah, no, I mean that's pretty sick, you know. And so that's ultimately that'd be like your main goal, you know.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess how or what are you doing to kind of take those steps a little bit like?
So it takes a lot of researching and nobody's just kind of like, okay, these are the steps you need to take to open up your own food truck. People are fucking selfish. They don't want to tell you shit. So that's pretty much what I've been doing these past couple of months, kind of researching. And my cousin, who is in Mexico, has a I guess kind of like the hookup on the whole food truck thing. He has a friend that like customizes them and then sells them, and he sells them for pesos, which ends up being pretty cheap, like in US dollars. So I already kind of started sending his friend money, and he's kind of like slowly customizing my thing.
Nice.
But you know, I'm a broke bitch, so I kind of have to balance things out.
I mean,
But
let's get
Yeah.
this bread. Joseph Lopez, that's what's up, man. I wonder if it's too late.
let's get
What?
this bread.
Let's get this bread, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what I've been doing to kind of like start working on it. Hopefully by want to say in the next 2 or 3 years I probably have it up running, just because there's a lot that has to go into it, and I have to get it inspected, and I have to get my licenses, and I don't even have my driver's license, so I should probably get my driver's license first.
So, actually, speaking of that, I mean, this would be a nice tip for our viewers, especially if you just so happen to be younger. I mean, which this podcast might go a bit more, you know, risque later on. But if you're listening to this, you don't have your license, or you're looking for a way to retake your license, you could actually do this. And this is a little trick that I had to do because I actually failed my first driving test because my back tail light wasn't on. So the guys didn't take any shit, whatever. They just basically told me, you know, you gotta reschedule and come back once you get that shit fixed. Not because of my driving or anything,
Yeah.
but I was researching online, and apparently, if you pull up to the DMV and you're there at like 2, 3 in the morning, and you're one of the first 2 people there, you can do a walk-in. You don't have to fucking wait months in advance. You don't have to do anything. It's a pain in the ass, and you're
It seems like really early, but that's also the time I wake up for work, so I guess I shouldn't be saying anything.
on the cool. And I'm not gonna lie, your picture might look like shit because of all the wind and the night, whatever. And
Yeah,
you're just, like, pacing
but-
back and forth and everything.
What
But
time do they open?
They open at 7, but I kid you not, the line starts forming, especially here at the one off of Jupiter. It starts forming like around I want to say 6 in the or between 5 and like 6 in the morning.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And so when I first got my license, I remember I got there at 2 in the morning, and I was the second person there. Yeah, the first one was an Ethiopian girl that was in line with me. Now the girl was cool as hell, you know, but I was kind of pissed off because I was like, I made sure to wake up early. I called in.
Yeah, and there's still somebody in front of you.
But hey, I mean, we still got it done, you know. I ended up getting a 97 on my test, and I was happy about that.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it was a fucking shit show, though, to be honest.
I bet.
Shitless. Especially since, like, back then, people used to make a big deal out of, like, parallel parking. which,
Oh yeah.
Honestly, it's the easiest thing in the world, really.
I suck at parking, period, regardless of whether it's parallel or regular.
I mean, the best thing that I could like offer as far as advice for parking, go to like a school or go to like an empty park where they have like the lines, you know, and just practice there. You know, where you're not messing with anybody, and if anybody says anything, you know, just tell them to go fuck themselves, I guess, you know. But
I mean, ain't nobody ever say shit about my parking though. I never gotten hit, so I guess I don't park that bad.
I've been 2xing, so I mean, I can't say much.
Mm.
But it wasn't for my parking.
So you're
and
saying is your parking sucks?
It used to. It's definitely a lot better, you know. I'm not gonna sit here and tell y'all that I'm the best driver out there and everything. I feel like I'm pretty solid. You know, I can go long distances and whatnot, and I've taken a couple road trips,
Same.
you know, and whatnot, to like Arizona and we'll have at it, whatever. But I'm not the best driver out there because I've seen some pretty badass drivers.
Yeah.
I wish I was them, but I'm not, sadly. You know. But yeah, if you want your license, pull up early.
Shout out to Adam if you're watching this. You drive like a fucking maniac, but you're a really good driver. I drive like a fucking grandma.
Yo, I drive in between. Some days I'm like, I should really chill it.
Yeah.
But other days I'm like, what's on my metal Spotify playlist right now? Fuck, I can't play anything right now. Shit. I wonder if the music's still going.
I don't know.
That'd be pretty interesting to check out.
I used to drive like a maniac, and then I got into my car accident, which was my brakes gave out while I was on the freeway. And after that, I kind of started driving like a maniac. I drive like a grandma now.
Holy shit, that's fucking scary. Your brakes give out on the highway?
Yeah. Well, we were taking the exit off the highway.
Mm-hmm.
My friend and I, we were going to go grab some food. I went to go pick her up after she got out of class, and we were getting off onto the service road, going about probably like almost 60 miles an hour, and this truck in front of us starts braking because he needs to turn, and so that's when I discovered my brakes didn't work, and I swerve, and then I quickly inform my friend, hey, my brakes don't work. And I tried the emergency brake, also did not work. I don't know what was going on with my car.
Are you still driving the same car?
No. I don't have a car at the moment. But so we I pulled up into a parking lot, and the only thing that stopped my car was how I hit another car that was parked.
Oh, shit.
So yeah.
Yeah, pretty funny though. Like,
No. I know what you
It's
mean.
not funny at all.
No,
you know,
no.
it's pretty fucked up, and scary, whatever.
No, but I'm not dead, so yeah. I always see it like that. It's like, oh, I'm not dead, and you know my friend is fine. So
Yeah, it's pretty good to be honest. I mean, that's just fucking scary.
yeah, it was.
It's weird how it's always like whenever you like least expected. Like I've like I said, I've driven long distances,
Yeah.
but I actually got my car totaled because one day I was just I was just chilling. I was driving and I went to go get some Domino's for my family. You know.
It really is when you least expect
Yeah,
it.
It was just a payday. I was feeling good. You know, I was listening to my music. You know, I had just got my car like a month ago. You know, so it's like back when like Texas had like the photo enforced like lights.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going in to like slow down, and like the lights had turned yellow, and I started slowing down, and I stopped in time. I just so happened to barely look up at my mirror, and I saw the dude behind me wasn't stopping.
Damn.
So I just remember hearing the smack, being thrown to the middle of like the intersection, and then
Like you flew out of your car?
no.
Oh.
No. But the car was basically like
Oh shit! Like that's how hard it hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I saw the dude's like airbags go off in like the back, like in my rearview mirror or whatever.
My airbags didn't even go off, and I hit a car, and that hit two other cars.
What car were you driving?
it was a car that my mom got me. So, well, I paid for it, but she picked it out, and she's always like, I have really good taste in cars, but the last 2 cars that I've had ended up having a problem with them. So this time around, I'm not trusting that woman, and she's gonna end up killing me. I'm gonna end up dead.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn. It's just, like, how did that feel though? By the way, like, was it just like a roller coaster almost, where like you couldn't stop and you knew that you weren't gonna stop, but like you were just going, or was it just?
It was more so like the only thing that was going through my head was, fuck, I have somebody else in the car with me, and I don't really care about myself, like just more so the other person. That's the only thing that was. I'm kind of like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm the mom friend, so that's. And if you look at the car, I didn't really take any pictures because I was in shock. But if you look at the car, the driver's side took most of the impact, and I just remember like kind of freaking out because we had to call 911 because the car was leaking, and so as almost, I guess, the way I was raised, I was always kind of fearful of the cops. So I was like, bro, I don't have my license, and the car isn't under my name, and I'm just kind of freaking out, you know. So everything turned out okay. The cop actually apologized to me because I don't have my license. So he was like, I am so sorry. You seem like you really don't need to hear this right now, but I have to give you a ticket for no license because we have to report it. But
Whoa, was this in Mesquite, Garland?
it was in Richardson.
Richardson.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not that bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
and-
lucky it wasn't here in Mesquite. These guys don't play around. Or in Balch Springs. Those
Yeah,
guys are
they
super-
and even the people that were like whose car I had hit,
Yeah.
they were like, dude, it's okay. Like, we saw you coming in and that you couldn't stop. And so
So they were cool with it too.
yeah, they obviously, you know, had insurance and they called the insurance or whatever, but they nobody was mad. They were just all kind of like, are you okay? Like, what happened? And I was like, dude, my brakes they gave out. Just weren't working. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really fucking like. You guys were okay? I didn't have to go to the hospital.
No. I was fine. I was sore for like the next week, but one of like my proudest, like, baddest bitch moments that I remember from when all of this went down was that the accident happened on Wednesday, and on Thursday I was back up at work, like carrying trays and shit. So yeah. Like, there was this girl that we used to work with, and she was like complaining because her stomach was hurting, and my manager was literally like, Kat was just in an accident yesterday and she's at work. Really? Like, you want to go home?
Damn. That's some fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
Nah, cool. I mean, I really hope none of my family's watching this, but I mean, I remember, like, after the first accident I was in, I didn't tell anybody what really happened. I just told them that something had happened, like, in the parking lot where I had left my truck. And that's why I had a dent in the back, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
But and I told them that my truck had started overheating because that's really what happened. I was on 75, off of 635, going towards like the McKinney area,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so I actually got hit. It was in the morning. It was slow traffic and everything going down. And the guy behind me wasn't slowing down. Same thing, you know. For some reason, in a non-weird way, my truck likes to take it from the back apparently, or my car's like taking it back, you know. And
Cars just don't like to slow down when they see your car.
yeah, no, I mean, this guy was like asleep and he just like rammed into my truck.
That's
And
crazy.
he dipped. He just like
He just dipped.
He was like,
Oh my god.
fuck this shit, I'm out. I'm dipping. He had like a bull bar and everything, so his truck was fine.
Yeah.
But,
he didn't
uh,
really have a problem. Nothing happened to him.
I guess like a little sliver of like hope that my truck basically had, that was hoping it's gonna get out, and my truck just shit itself whenever like got hit from behind because it started overheating, oil started spilling, the transmission wasn't working.
Jesus.
And, yeah, just a complete shit show. So they took my dad's my dad called a friend of his. The wrecker basically brought the truck back to my house, and it was my first day at my job that I had just gotten to. I was a pool boy for a while. Shout out, never did porn. Sadly, that's a damn lie.
You said you never did porn? Oh, because
Yeah.
you used to be a pool
Yeah, I used to be
boy.
a pool boy. Yeah.
That's lame.
I was never approached. I was an extra. Nah.
You're the person holding the
I
camera.
was the camera guy, yeah. I
No,
just-
you were the sound guy, just
Yeah.
holding the mic.
I was like, "Please don't stay." Man, have you seen that video going around of a dude that's like eating like a ice cream bar or whatever, and like he's like shooting a scene, like holding a camera, just like eating like a Klondike bar.
No,
while
I
like
haven't.
this dude and this chick are like smashing,
Yeah.
and then like he like gets the Klondike bar and like he offers it to the dude, and the dude takes a bite.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
I
it's
have
just-
not seen that. That's
Shit's
crazy.
wild, shit's wild.
I do like those videos with that Ryan guy where he's like, me and my coworker just do business while in the office, like on Pornhub. I like
Yeah.
those where he's like,
Oh shit! Yeah.
yeah, where he's
I
it's just
remember
like
those, yeah.
regular videos and it's
Regular
just like,
videos.
oh yeah, like me and my stepsister just watch a movie together, like.
Are they cool? Honestly, I mean, I've actually considered this, but if YouTube keeps on like kind of being more strict, I might become not necessarily a cam dude, you know?
He's gonna do porn.
No, I'll start streaming on Pornhub and you know.
He's just
get
gonna
the
do
revenue
porn.
from that. Yeah, maybe. I mean, all holds barred, or no holds barred, basically at that point where like everything goes, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe I don't know though. Mom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry.
Your mom's gonna disown you.
Yeah, she's gonna be like, I better see that check, motherfucker.
Yeah, if you're pretty much just selling your image, you better fucking be making some bank.
Yeah, they're cool. I mean, would I mind? No, but I mean, depends also. But
That's
you
true.
know. But yeah, what were we talking about? Oh, the accident, or whatever. I was basically saying that like I still had to finish the day off, whatever, and I told my bosses what had happened, and so my bosses were cool at the time. You know, they let me finish off the week. The guy that I was replacing left me his work truck, and so they let me use that until I fixed mine.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
So I mean,
That's
not gonna
what's up.
lie though, real PTSD from the fucking accident.
Oh yeah,
Like
same.
I'll look up in my fucking like rearview mirror, and if somebody fucking like followed me too close, I'll start cussing them out. You know, I start
No,
freaking
yeah.
out. But yeah, did you experience any of that?
Yeah, afterwards, like if I was in a car with a friend and they took a little too long to brake, I would kind of like grip the the handles, or almost kind of like I would feel like my heart sink a little. And even now when I drive, if I don't even get that close to cars anymore, or if I'm like coming up to a light, I make sure I have enough time to brake, because it like without even thinking, like it happens, you know.
Yeah, it's the worst moments too, you know, and it always sucks because you're always thinking like, why me? Why did it have to happen right now? Or you know, at certain points you're like, if I had never come, you know, to pick up this pizza, if we had never gone to go do this, maybe this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
If I had been in this lane, you know, this wouldn't have happened. If I had gone this way, you know, there's a million things that run through your mind and a bunch of like regret at times. But I mean, honestly, people, like you were saying, you got to realize that you're fine and that you're alive and not
Yeah.
bad. You know?
I honestly, whenever people ask me about the accident, I openly talk about it because it's obviously something I couldn't control. But I never I'm never like, oh, you know, like, why did this happen to me, or why didn't it happen to me? Because the things that have come from the accident and who I am as a person, it's something that I really like. Like, obviously, me living here with my roommate and who I've become, kind of like who I've flourished, who I've turned into because of the accident, is a person that I really, really enjoy. So I never see it as a bad thing, more so like almost kind of like a rebirth, which sounds kind of cheesy, but you know, that's just how I feel about it.
And the cool, cheesy or not, you know, it's all good, you know. It's definitely kind of weird. I'm sorry, I'm about to, you know, show my greñero, you know, but this beanie's driving me crazy. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so where are you now? Like, as far as things go, you know, what are you up to nowadays? You know, what do you like to do? What do you do? You know, do you have a side hustle? Do you,
Yeah.
you know, work full time? You know, what are you doing?
So I do work full time in the mornings. My day starts off at 3 in the morning. I leave for work at 4, get there at 4:30, and I probably get out around. It just depends how production's going because I work at a warehouse, but I usually get out like 1 p.m. 2ish. After that, I do have a side hustle. I also have like a little Snapchat premium that I've been working on ever since I was in high school. That I've been doing it on and off for a while now. But
so you beat me to it, you know.
yeah.
I guess so.
I feel like I was like, you're just gonna rip the fucking Band-Aid off. That's probably why people are, you know, and a lot of it's something that I I'm open about with certain people, but it's something that I don't necessarily talk, like, let people know.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, especially guys, not necessarily because like I'm afraid of being judged. I don't really care. It's more because then they'll be like, oh, can we be in a video together? And it's like, dude, if I wanted to be in a video with you, I would have asked you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and it's it's weird too, you know, and I mean, let's confirm the video that we're on right now is completely, you know, secular, so YouTube, relax.
it has nothing
But-
to do with any
Yeah. No, but I
anything
mean,
sexual.
exactly. And so like the reason why I kind of like I want to talk to you also live, you know, and everything, and talk about this subject as well with you is because, I mean, throughout the length of the podcast, you know, it's important for people to also see that, you know, that you are also a person, that you have feelings,
Yeah.
that you know, experience things, and that, you know, this is necessarily, I can't speak for every, you know, premium Snapchatter out there, you know, but that this is coming from a place of, you know, of not necessarily, would you call it need or
I maybe at one point I would have said it was something kind of like it really helped me, but right now at this point, it's more kind of like something that I do almost kind of like a hobby. It's weird because like yes, I am making money off of it, and it does, you know, obviously add to my income, but at the same time, it's something that like if I don't want to go on, then I don't necessarily have to go on because I do have another source of income, and if I don't want to put up with people, I don't. It's just something that I kind of do for fun. And I enjoy taking the pictures. It's kind of fun seeing like the different angles and the lighting and how everything works, and, you know, trying to see like what catches people's attention
yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, so I mean, you do it more from like an entertainer's perspective.
Yeah.
In that sense, you know, it's kind of like, you know, doing music or comedy or
Mhm.
you know, stuff like that. So I mean, it's
I think it's something that my customers don't understand. Y'all bitches think I need you. I don't. Okay, let's get that clear.
Goddamn.
If y'all are watching.
To the one motherfucker watching.
To that one person watching.
Sorry to single you out, bro, or, you know, sis. You know, don't mean to go full like. Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting, you know, and it's like I really didn't even know about this, you know, until recently, you know. I know we talked about it, and I had a couple questions in there as
Yeah.
well, you know, which I can't remember right now off the top of my head, but, you know, it's just been interesting because, like, at first I didn't see that side of you, you know, because I did see you as a bit more, you know, of a, you know, serious, and I'm not saying that that's not a serious thing, you know, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't imagine that side of you, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
That's how a lot of people feel whenever
yeah.
they kind of the way I promote is mostly kind of, it's kind of hard to promote because obviously, you know, like your account can get like blocked or whatever. So really the way I do it is kind of like through almost kind of like dating apps.
Yeah.
And so a lot of whenever people like come across my profile and I let them know that that's what I have, they're always kind of surprised because not necessarily that I look kind of serious or more so like innocent. It's just they don't get that vibe from me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of almost one of the appeals because it's more like she doesn't seem like she would do it. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like exciting that she does. And
Nice.
it's just, like I said, it's just something that I enjoy doing now at this moment in my life. Like it's fun going to the mall and being like, okay, I got to pick this thing out because I'm going to do a photo shoot, you know?
Yeah, it's solid. And I mean, I know we talked a little bit about, you know, potentially moving over to the platform OnlyFans.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just I never really understood, you know, what it was, you know, but I think after talking to you, you said it was like a membership base, you know, it's almost like Patreon, but like
Yeah.
you get the stuff, you know.
Yeah, so the difference between Patreon and OnlyFans, I've been kind of researching into both of them for a long time. Really, the reason I became familiar with Patreon was because I followed this girl on Instagram called London Andrews. She's kind of like a plus size, I guess, like erotic model.
Mm-hmm.
She's been doing it for a super long time, and she pretty much, her whole income is based off of what she sells.
Yeah.
And she does a lot of like nonprofit. She has like, her life is fucking amazing. Like every time I'm on there, I'm like, bro, your life seems like the dream. But that's kind of how I got introduced into Patreon, and I kind of went on there just to check out to see how things kind of worked. So Patreon is more like there's different tiers, and depending on those tiers, it also depends how much content you get and how many times like a month you get it, because they're both monthly subscriptions. But with Patreon, it can be like, okay, well, it's the $5 tier, you get a picture a month. or she has tiers that go up to $500 a month. And it's like you get this, all of this, you know, photo sets and calendars, and I mail them to your house, and you know this and that. And then OnlyFans, it's more kind of like a simplified version of that. It's almost kind of like Snapchat and Patreon had a baby. So like you can post videos and you can post pictures, but the only way you can see them is if you're paying that flat rate. And there's no tiers. So depending on what that person wants to post or how much they post, that usually depends on like what their prices are going to be. So like I've seen people where their prices are like, oh, it's $100 a month because I'm constantly posting, and you're getting constant new content, and you're getting this and you're getting that. But then I've also seen people where it's like it's $15 a month because I don't really post shit, and
So
you know.
I had a question. Do people actually pay $100 a month for
Yeah.
stuff like that?
Yeah, obviously the way she was doing it, she's very open about what she does, and it kind of, the way Patreon does it, it almost breaks it down so you can see how many people are paying for what. So it'll tell you like, oh, like 5 people are paying for the $100 thing a month, or 3 people are paying for the $500 thing a month. And she had around 10 people that were sending her like $1,000 a month. So yeah, it's a huge business and industry that a lot of people don't want to be part of, because you know they're like, oh, you know, it makes me a hoe or whatever. But
I'll be a fucking hoe.
yeah.
For $1,000 a month from 3 different people. Jesus,
Yeah.
man. Like,
Yeah, I mean, this girl has a house, and she has an newly renovated RV in which she travels the country, and she goes and takes photo shoots everywhere. Nothing comes out of her pocket that I know of. Everything that all her money goes towards, you know. She does a lot of charity work too, you know.
man, that's solid. I mean, that's good. I mean, she's flipping kind of something that has
A negative connotation and
Yeah.
using it to her advantage, which is kind of like what I wanted to do. Because it's something that like a lot of, even now when a lot of people that like, the thing with Snapchat is it's that it's really personal, you know. Patreon and OnlyFans is just kind of like, okay, like here's my content. I'm more of an artist, and you're just kind of like looking at my stuff. The Snapchat thing, it kind of makes it to where like I'm a person and I'm sending you like material. Sorry, and if you would like to, we can have a conversation and we can interact. But I think a lot of people, especially on there, well, on mine at least, kind of have this idea of, oh, like, you know, she's a porn star, you know, or she's, you know, if you actually look at my videos, there's barely any like heavy pornographic material, which the way I describe pornographic is like somebody fucking you and you capture it on video, you know.
Yeah.
That's not how I describe pornographic. So
Yeah. So I mean, from what it sounds like, you do more like tasteful, like kind of not necessarily softcore, but like more like tasteful, erotic,
Yeah.
material.
Yeah.
Rather than
full on sex on camera.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's something weird. And I mean, I've definitely encountered this, you know, with today's day and age, you know, not for anything, but I've noticed that, you know, I'll be scrolling through Tinder or something, you know, and I'll be trying to date or something, or find someone, you know, and I'll match with someone, and the first thing out of their mouth, you know, be like, you know,
Add me on Snapchat.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Snapchat, and then they offer like the premium services, and I mean, for me, it's a kind of a turn off whenever I'm talking to somebody.
Yeah,
like
because you're
that.
trying to like actually
Yeah.
like get to know them. Yeah, yeah,
Establish
I
a
understand.
a connection, whatever. And so, I mean, it's kind of it's gotten to that annoying part where like everyone has a premium.
Yeah,
account. But-
it's definitely super heavily saturated, because I remember when I first started, which I started in high school, which is legal. It's child pornography. But even though I was 17 years old when I started, even then it's considered child pornography. But I started, and I remember there wasn't a lot of people doing it, and the reason I know it's because I was making hella bank. Like
Shit.
hella bank. Like I didn't have a job, and my friends were always like, hey, let's go here, let's go there, and I was always down. I also had more like methods of payments, because a lot of the big online payment corporations hadn't caught on onto what people were doing.
Yeah.
So I had a PayPal, I had a Cash App, I had a Venmo, I had Google Wallet. I had all these things where like people could send me money to.
Yeah.
So I think in about a week, I probably made about $500 in a week. And then and that was with me like barely posting and like, because I had to go to school and I had homework and I had all this other thing. So now it's a little more difficult. Like people are still making money, but you have to be super creative. You have to really dedicate to it. It's more almost like a full-time job. Because back then it was kind of like, it's just a little side hustle, like you make money here and there and you can have spending money.
Yeah.
But now it really is more like, okay, like, are you willing to stay up till 4 a.m. to try to see if you can find some clients?
Damn.
Mm-hmm. It's a 24-hour thing. You posting pictures always on your story, because if you don't, then people get disinterested and then they don't really want to buy anymore.
Yeah.
And obviously finding a way to where you can keep that income like flowing in, because there's only so many certain people that you can sell to. Obviously not, like you said, not everybody's interested.
Yeah.
So
well, and not just, I mean, not to say, that like I would completely turn down a girl who like has a premium. It's just when those are the first things, kind of out of someone's mouth. It's kind of
you already know that they don't really want anything. They just kind of want to conduct a business.
And so, I mean, I don't mean to Joe Rogan this, but I guess, playing devil's advocate for like a little bit, do you feel like there's any sort of negative impact on society or a positive impact, that's come with this wave of, saturation in the market for premium?
I personally, I wouldn't say that I have a problem with it, because like I said, for me, it's more just like I do it for fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like me doing it because, or if I'm ever like on rare occasions where I'm short on money, then I'll be like, okay, like let me just get on my premium, see if I can make $20 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it has become to the point where there's been obviously like just how every premium is different. Most of the content they post is different, and so you have a lot of people that are coming from different premiums, or they're jumping from premium to premium, and they expect kind of like the same level of commitment that the other person had, or they expect the same level of content, or because it's really just, it all depends on how comfortable you are with yourself and how comfortable you are with showing your body. And so it gets kind of annoying, because they're kind of like, well, so-and-so did this, why can't you do that? And it's different people. And obviously, since it's so saturated, there's the competition with prices. So now I remember when I first started, it would be, pay $50 for my Snapchat premium. Now it's more like, pay $20. So definitely the prices have, like, people have started, bringing down their prices to try to make more fast money in that regard. But the way I see it, it's kind of almost like, bro, like you're just kind of playing yourself, because you're selling it for 20, someone's going to be selling it for 10.
Yeah.
Because they're going to try to compete with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny how like that little market has seen kind of like the like a real influx in like what like you see in like real markets in the world. Like small trade, work, you'll charge a certain amount and somebody else will charge, even less, just to get the money, even if they break even or end up putting money out of their own account, to do the job. It's weird to see how that,
And it's something that's going to keep growing, because it's like, I don't know, I'm pretty sure people have noticed this, but even on Pornhub, there's this kind of like influx of amateur porn, where people no longer kind of want to see like the old, like the traditional, like girl has like fake boobs, and like they don't want to see that anymore. Like it's staged. They kind of like the amateur side of it more, where it's like, like this is an actual person, and they were okay with filming this, and
it's a weird time to be alive, because I feel like there's so much going on,
Yeah, there is.
It's like on one end, you've got, this art, this side of the market, this side of life, of this culture, it's just so forth, and on the other side, you've got people who are, super offended by certain aspects of life and everything. They repulse everything, and they chastise and kind of demonize people who do that, you know, for no reason.
Yeah, I've had a couple people who have been kind of almost that will literally just add me just to kind of like insult what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come to the point where I'm just kind of like, dude, if you're not gonna buy, please hop off my dick.
Oh, shit. So
Yeah.
so they just hop on just to
Yeah,
talk
just
shit
to
or whatever?
insult. Yeah.
I was gonna ask because like I remember watching Straight Outta Compton, whatever. And there was a
Mhm.
famous line that Eazy-E said, whatever, where I think Ice Cube and everyone else was looking out the bus and they were like, "Look what the fuck they doing to our CDs, man." And Eazy-E
Mhm.
says, "Fuck it, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Shit,
Yeah.
they paid for them."
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's trippy to see that people legit just shit talk that much.
Yeah.
You know, for no reason.
One thing that it like I was like I said earlier, something that I really really don't do is talk about it with my male guy friends.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily because like I said, I'm ashamed. It's more so because it's something that the way I do it myself, it's more like solo, and it's something that I really don't want to kind of change.
Yeah.
And so I do let every time I have either things are getting serious with the guy or something like that, I'll let them know that I do have it, but that I don't really want them to be part of it.
Yeah,
Which then they're kind of like, why not? Like, you know, like they get a little offended, and it's more like, dude, it's my business. Like,
yeah.
I've molded it and shaped it into what I want it to be, and you coming in and you recording us having sex not only takes away to me the intimacy of having like sexual relationships with somebody that you care about, but more so it kind of makes my customers kind of be like, oh, like, you know, she just posted this is new, she's never posted anything like that, we want more of it.
Yeah.
And so if at one point I don't want to do that, then
And then I guess
they
there
get
would also
upset.
be the other side where you actually lose more customers because of, you know, I guess they feel like it's just you and them.
yeah.
Usually, you know, I
Mhm.
could see that side of the coin too. You know, and it's just, I've definitely always felt that like relationships and work always have to stay separate, you know,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, you know, whether it be something that you're, you know, doing in long story short, you know, I don't like when I'm single right now, but back when I used to have a girlfriend, like I didn't like whenever she'd come to work, whatever, because I'd be, you know, busy and I can't
Yeah.
dedicate time, you know. And it's not that I don't like her coming to, or I didn't like her coming to work. It's just the fact that I couldn't dedicate time. You know, I got to do this, I got to do that. You know,
You're like, you're running around and you're like, bro, like, I care about you and I love you, but I gotta get to work.
yeah, yeah. It's just, you know, there's more problems that happen at home, whatever. Whenever that happens, or something happens where, you know, you're busy and you say
Yeah.
something, you didn't say something bad, but the way that you said it came off kind
Yeah.
of weird. You know, and just better to kind of keep things separate, especially when it comes to stuff like that, you know, or stuff like comedy or whatever. You know, you're gonna do and say things that people might not like, you know, but that's
Yeah.
separate from who you are. You know, it's like with the whole like music thing, whatever. Like I've had arguments with my family sometimes about this too, because I'm a metalhead. You know, I love to play rock and roll, heavy metal. I play a little bit of everything really, if I can, you know, and if I like it. But it's just, I don't want my family or you know, those relationships to kind of delve into what I'm doing, because then it affects
It affects your music and
Yeah.
your taste. Yeah.
and not
That's
just that, but, like,
definite. It's a definite.
my emotional health as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know, well, what the fuck, you know?
Well, what are they gonna think?
Yeah, and it's like,
It's a definite.
yeah. So yeah, you're right. You should keep, you know, separate,
Yeah.
you know.
So I do like I think the last person I told about it was this guy that I was talking to, and he had no problem with it, but he was like that whole like, oh, like maybe we should do content together. And we tried it, and I thought it was a good at first I thought it was a good idea, and then we actually tried it, and it just wasn't something that, it's kind of like I know this might sound weird because I kind of like post myself naked and, you know, like this, but at the end of the day, to me, like, even though I enjoy having sexual relationships, I feel like it's something very private, and it's something that I don't necessarily want on camera.
yeah.
Me myself.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, and you're right. You know, whenever I'd imagine whenever you record something like that, you know, or for content or such and so forth, it does lose a lot of intimacy because you're more focusing on
I'm like, how do I look? Does my butt look good? Do I look good? You know, and obviously he's like, do I look good? You know, so
yeah.
it's just something that I just don't really want to deal with.
It just seems very stressful, you know.
Yeah.
I doubt that you can really I mean, just speaking from, you know, as a guy, you know, if a guy's not comfortable, you know, same for a girl, you know, if they're not
Yeah.
comfortable, you know, you can't really perform,
Yeah.
you know, and so I mean, shout out to everyone in the porn industry, honestly. 'Cause,
Yeah,
I mean, you guys, I don't know how you guys do
honestly.
it, you know, I don't
I
know if it's
have-
that blue chew or whatnot,
Yeah, ever since I started doing this, I remember before I did this, I was kind of one of those girls. I'm not gonna lie, that would almost like slut shame other girls. But ever since I started doing this, it's like, bro, like I have mad respect for y'all. You know, like it takes a lot of work and it's a lot of commitment. You know, to try to look good, to try to not only look good in front of the camera, but keep yourself looking good.
but yeah.
Lots of grooming 24/7, you know, your legs, your pubic area, your arms, your everything, you know, making sure you look good, making sure your outfits look good, because you know, like you're selling your appearance, you're selling what you look like. And so I even Instagram influencers, like I commend your efforts. You have my respect, because I cannot. I hate it. I do it once in a while and that's it. Like I am definitely not like, oh yeah, like I gotta go, you know. I know a lot of the girls like wax their butts. I'm like, oh, like their butthole,
Oh shit.
like just everything, all of the hairs, you know, like everything just goes. Like I'm not saying I have a bush. This is kind of TMI, but like that just seems very painful.
I couldn't imagine doing some shit like that.
Yeah.
I bitch when I get my fucking eyebrows waxed or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, or getting threaded or whatever. But no, it's just interesting. And going back to something that you did say, you know, earlier, you know, about, you know, a couple years back, you know, slut shame someone, you know, for doing something similar. I kind of connect with that in a way, because I feel like back in high school, I was, you know, this might be TMI as well, but I didn't lose my virginity until like after high school. You know? And even
Ain't
then,
nothing wrong with that.
yeah, and even then though, I mean, the whole story about how it happened was really weird. So I mean, I really don't talk much about it, you know, in public. You know, I'll talk to people that you know understand. So I mean, I'll just keep it short to that. But I mean, before then, the reason why it took so long was because I was super religious, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, I had a huge affiliation with the church and everything, and I wanted to be a good person, whatnot, you know. And so, I've had friends of all different walks of life and everything, but there was one girl in particular that kind of stuck out to my life, you know, that I actually fell in love with. But at the same time, it was weird, because it was the first time that someone was actually kind of sexual, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
Or they were so confident in their body, they were, you know, loved themselves that much to where, you know, they wanted to do things, they were kind of freaky, you know, they were all this
Yeah.
stuff, and I'm over here like fucking like,
Like you don't know what the fuck is going
Yeah,
on. Like
no,
you're
like,
scared.
I've never fucking like
Yeah.
seen a monkey up close or anything like that, you know.
Yeah.
I've never fucking like seen anything really, or done anything, you know, other than like kiss or hanging out, or, you know, the casual, you know, ass grab or something, you know. But yeah, I mean, it was just really weird, you know. And there was more to it than just, you know, that, you know. Like we had very similar music tastes, you know. She was putting me onto other music that I didn't even realize that I
Yeah.
loved. You know, this whole like indie rock side, you know, pop, you know, stuff, you know, the Arctic Monkeys, Tame Impala, Neighborhood, you know, all this other stuff, you know, came from her, because I didn't know that I like that type of music.
Yeah.
You know. Up until that point, I was a Led Zeppelin dude, a Black Sabbath.
It's like old
Metallica,
school,
you know,
yeah, like
Slayer,
hardcore
you
old
know,
school
fucking
shit,
Slayer,
yeah.
you know. And like I love this girl, you know, and I got to know a little bit of her story and everything. And I mean, she herself said that she was a bad person. I didn't see that part of her, you know. And so I tried to talk to her about it, whatever. And you know, she would put herself in situations where like she would go into a circle and make herself feel like shitty,
Yeah.
you know. And then me being, I guess, of that super conservative mindset back then, you know, I didn't know how to help her, or what to do for her, or whatnot. And so like, I just kind of stayed out of it. Or she'd ask for my input, and I, you know, give her my input or what I was thinking, you know.
And obviously it was in the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I mean, that led to a bunch of. I mean, there was a lot more that happened between her and me, but that kind of caused us to kind of grow a rift. And although I loved her to death, you know, I just couldn't be with her.
And sometimes things just,
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was just the timing too, you know. But I
yeah.
mean, time can take all that shit, you know, and fucking shove it up its ass. You know, I don't care anymore. But it is kind of weird, you know, to think about that. You know, how different people change. You know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, nowadays I've heard people, you know, say this quote, and I'll bring it back. You know, in my perspective, I have friends who are going out every other day, you know, to a new ramen place, just check it out, you know, just to have fun and talk about video games and shit. And I've got friends who will put a fucking 45 to your mouth if you look at them kind of weird, you know.
Yeah.
And so I've just seen the circle of diverse friends that I've kind of been accumulating. And I never focus on like the negatives that society kind of expects people to have. I always focus on that tiny glimmer of light, of hope. That
Yeah.
people tend to show, So it's just
What are you doing?
so it's just it's a weird sort of circumstances, It's
Yeah.
definitely a different time.
That's true. I definitely do see myself kind of I almost did almost like a full 180 to from who I used to be to who I am now. And even though I don't really take criticism well, I'm going to be honest. I do ask my friends from time to time, like, hey, like, if I've ever made you feel bad or, like if I ever said anything that hurt you, like I do need you to let me know because that's the only way that I know to kind of fix it. So I've had people like friends that have been like, hey, like you used to be a fucking bitch,
Dude,
yeah, so
Man.
and then I'll ask them, I'm like, am I still a bitch? And they're like, no. He's like, you've kind of like completely changed, or like, oh no, like you kind of still are, but it's kind of funny. So we kind of like deal with it,
Yeah.
But it's just kind of interesting to see how kind of like look back and see who I used to be and who I am now, and like the person that I'm striving to be.
Yeah.
So it's to me it's kind of fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Yeah, it's definitely an experience, and it's weird to see that, because like you said, back then I was a hard ass, I didn't like when my friends smoked weed, around me or when
Yeah.
they drank or whatnot, even though I may or may not have.
I was a little
taken
stuck up
drinks,
too. Not gonna lie.
It's so fucking weird, from going to that, and I guess college did kind of open my mind up a little
Mhm.
bit, to other people, but now, I mean, I don't know if it's too much of a bad thing, because now I'm too kind of like loosey-goosey, go with the flow.
Yeah.
And
Facts.
my sense of humor went from like light jokes to like pitch black, dark matter, like shit that could get me arrested type
Yeah.
of jokes, But yeah, it's just
More so for me, it's sorry to interrupt
go
you,
for
but
it.
more so for me, it's like kind of like the people I've noticed the people that I kind of hang out with.
Yeah.
So I know that I myself I have a very like strong personality,
Yeah.
and I know that, and I know that it kind of like rubs off on people or like it affects them. I understand that. And so just kind of seeing not only how I have changed, but kind of how like my friends have changed with me,
yeah.
because of each other's energies, or like how we're both like growing and what we're going through, and kind of how we're like bouncing off of each other,
Yeah.
is kind of like interesting to watch, and also kind of like, I guess for me would be more like my taste in men, like how it's completely like done, like I said, like a whole like 180. It's crazy, I am definitely a little, like when it comes to guys, a little crazy, because whenever I was younger, I used to go for guys that were kind of like, oh, he's like on a roll, really smart guy, kind of quiet, kind of shy.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, you just got out of the penitentiary, here's my number. Like, you just killed somebody, I'm down. Just instantly, just, okay, cool. You can come over to my place. You might kill me? Okay with me. Totally. No, joke, like putting all jokes aside, like it's something that's really evolved with who I am as a person as well. And I've dated everything from like this guy who had his own like construction company, and
Oh, shit.
this other guy who had a towing company, to like a guy who had no job and was a drug dealer. So
Nice.
yeah, it's more so like I can definitely see how things are changing, and how I myself am kind of becoming a little more, I guess, liberal with who I am as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like you can never be, at least the way that I see it, you can never go like full one side or the other,
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
tend to like stay more in the middle for sure. And, kind of touch or adding on to what you were saying. If I'm honest with you, I feel like I've always had like shit taste in like women. Like, no, not completely, but they always like end up like doing some shit. It's always like the same patterns that happen,
Yeah, no, I know what you
But-
mean, because
but
that
they'll-
happens to me all the time.
but they always do the same shit that I like. So It's
Yeah.
like a fucking catch-22, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm not. Am I tripping? Nah.
I've even
know?
tried dating like older guys. Like
Yeah.
I've tried going after older guys because I'm like, hey, you know, because for some reason I'm attracted to um unavailable people, like people that I'm gonna have to chase. And so I've even tried dating older men, and it's the same thing. I still end up somehow picking the fucking assholes. So yeah, I definitely understand what you're
Yeah.
saying when you're like, it's like a catch-22. You just, it's a fucking cycle that you can't get out of.
I should also
Yeah.
reiterate the fact that like when I said I meant for a while I was looking for older women, not older men. So just,
No,
just
he was looking
clarifying.
for sugar daddies.
I
That's what
mean,
he's
if they wanted to
doing.
pay a fucking $1,000, holy shit! You know what $1,000 could do for me? Like shit.
Facts, bro.
Yeah, for starters, maybe a new car.
Yeah.
And
Any sugar daddies and sugar mamas out there?
fuck yeah,
Hit 'em
man.
up.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. And same goes for her. I mean, it's funny because we were supposed to only originally do half an hour. We've been going on for an hour and 13 minutes.
Jesus Christ, I do like to talk about myself. I told you.
Hey, no, it's fun, and like I said, it started off kind of awkward because it was the first interaction, and whatnot. But there is a lot to talk, and I feel like there's a lot more to talk
Yeah.
about, and so, I mean, first podcast, I really am glad that you came on here.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
totes.
and it's really interesting, like seeing you in person, finally, and like meeting you after, I want to say 4 or 5 years,
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, because I think
Jesus.
when you first like followed me, I think it was I was like originally like a meme page or something or some shit like
Oh.
that. Yeah, so.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
But then again, I have terrible memory.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember because I didn't know who you were. I was just like,
Yeah.
all right, cool, fuck it, I'll follow back, because common courtesy,
Yeah.
I feel.
I
weird
think
when
we went to the
people-
same school. I'm not gonna lie.
Did you go to North?
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's a fucking bet. Yeah, go Stallions.
Stanley
Yeah.
and Pride.
What was the saying? Dream, believe, achieve.
Yeah.
Yeah, head ass fucking saying, but
Achieving a lot of things.
yeah, yeah. I mean, little by little, But yeah, definitely. It's been fun having you on.
Yeah. Dude, thank you
And,
for having me on.
Yeah, we'll continue talking if you want a little bit, but definitely, guys, hit her up, follow her on Instagram, Snapchat, name in the description. But any final thoughts that you want to leave, the listeners with, or something that you're gonna be doing soon that you want to plug,
Not really. I'm very open about it. So if you follow my Instagram, you probably will know. Like I kind of make almost daily updates about what the fuck is going on in my life. So that's pretty much it.
That's what's up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully I won't fuck up the outro the way that I did the intro, but I have been JK, and this has been the Central JK Podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. I do stream regularly on Twitch Sundays at 7. I'm looking for stuff to play, scary games to play since October's. Oh shit, we can't end the podcast right now.
Why?
We said we were gonna fucking talk about like scary stories and shit.
Scary stories?
Scary
We can talk
stories.
about scary stories. I have a lot of them.
Yo, yeah. Let's keep on going. We'll, what's another 15, 20 minutes?
What's another hour?
Cool. I mean, Joe Rogan does like 4-hour podcasts, so I don't mind. But yeah, I mean,
What?
okay.
What does Emmanuel want? Oh, I forgot. Tell him that we're not. Oh, okay, cool. Hey, he ditched us first, so.
That's how bad. Unless you want to leave it for next week, since we were originally gonna do like another podcast this weekend, we'll do.
That's up to you.
I mean, I definitely had fun, So I mean, if you have something to do, I mean, we can cut it short.
We were supposed to go somewhere, but he canceled on us, and now he's trying to reschedule. So now we're canceling on him.
Oh shit.
Well, I am. I don't
Oh,
know
shit.
about Alexis. Alexis, you canceling on him? You canceling on him? Okay, I don't feel like going. Did you want to go? Cool. Okay.
Cool. So,
So that is entirely up to you.
it's entirely up to me. So should we do the coin flip thing?
Yeah.
So I think I might actually have a coin. If not, I might have a guitar pick. Yep. All right. So
Wow, edgy.
Yeah. Cool. So, all right, we got a guitar pick right here. This is heads. I'll do this as tails. What do you wanna do? So heads. We keep on going. Tails. We end the podcast.
Yes.
All right, cool. You go ahead and flip it.
I don't know how to flip things,
Alright, cool.
so you're gonna have to flip it.
We gotta end the podcast right here, ladies and gentlemen. However, if you do like what you just heard, like, comment, and subscribe. And we might do this again next week, or whenever we have time.
Yeah, totes.
Regardless, the stories that we have to tell, are still pretty scary. And, regardless of the time of the year, we can still tell them. So,
Kind of excited for them.
yeah, so am I. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've been JK. We're signing out. See ya.